This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
Daytime poker Saturday at Caesar's Palace. A new 1-2 game just started, and I'm in for 200. I won a few standard hands the first hour or so when the action actually wasn't good. I was planning on leaving soon to try out the Bellagio, but luckily that all changed with some new arriving players. Seat 1, a tatted up blonde, showed down a limped Queen 7 offsuit. Seat 9 has been willing to get involved and gamble. Seat 4 has also seen the majority of flops and doesn't seem like a huge fan of folding. The action this hand is an early position limp from the tatted up blonde, then a really small isolation raise from Poker Gear. I don't have any strong reads on him yet, since he very recently sat down. He has poker tattoos, poker shirt, and sunglasses, so that's how I got his nickname. I'm on the button with H-Jack offsuit, and it's either call or raise. Small isolation raises are usually a sign of not a particularly strong hand. I could attack with a 3-bet. I just think it's better to call in order to keep weaker aces in the pot, as well as the seat 1 limper. We go 4 ways to a great ace-high flop, 2 clubs. I face a continuation bet from the original raiser, and looks like a clear call. The small blind also calls, and the turn, amazing. Another ace, and I have an easy bet when it's checked to me. I make it 40 for half pot. Flush draws would be getting 3-1 on a call, but are 4-1 to hit. Then if I do get a call, I can pretty squarely put them on a range of flush draws, since not much else would take that line. I see a fold, then an all-in from Poker Gear. Easy call, weird line, and not sure what he has. After a king of spades on the river, he gives us the good sign of shaking his head, saying, "You got it." I wait for him to show his hand. He flips over Queen 10 offsuit. No pair, no draw. It was my first thought when I saw him. Now it's very apparent that he's the type of player that just wants to outplay you. Table is turning for the better. No way I'm leaving now. Up $250 and looking poised for a big win. Got the bullets under the gun and open for 10. Get just the tatted blonde to call. Cool flop, all 10s. Same bet of 10. Many hands would be basically drawing dead against me. Folds would be a disaster. A miracle of a huge raise to 80 is more of what I had in mind. I could call and leave a 2/3 size bet left behind, but I feel she has a full house and committed herself. She might see an overcard scare card come and fold to a shove, or just check back. I go all in. She calls, shrugging her shoulders. I quickly show, and she is shocked, showing the ducks.
Quack! 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 No!
Hell was that?
Thank you very much. 110 big blind pot going my way. Playing with a big stack now of around 650. Perfect place to be. Pocket 6s in the cutoff with a raise to 8 and a call. Both players I want to get involved with. Plus the blinds are deep stacked and I'll be getting better odds to set mine when they likely call. Neither do this time. Going just 3 ways to a Jack 9-9 board, 2 clubs. Checks to me and I check it back. I could easily be ahead with 2 checks, and I could have gotten value from ace high or flush draws, or I could check as I did with showdown value. Could go either way, and a mixed strategy is what I'd go with. Turn brings a second flush draw with a 5 of diamonds, and I make the call. The line doesn't make too much sense to me, since a Jack, 9, or overpair I would suspect to bet the flop, with her being the pre-flop raiser especially. River, really good, giving me a boat. She makes a big pot-sized bet, all in. Looks like pocket jacks are a bluff to me. Hard to say, though, against such an unpredictable player. I make the call, all the draws missed, and she shows ace-jack. Very nice hand there, well played. Small setback, can't win them all. Many limps ahead of me on the button with King 10 of clubs. Positives of both obvious options. Raise is probably a little better, but I limp behind, allowing for a deeper SPR pot with a hand that plays very well multi-way. Love the flop with a flush draw and a gut shot straight draw. I face a pot-sized bet, and I feel a call is the clear option. Plenty of money left behind with positional advantage. One more call, and the turn is really bad. 9 of spades and a bet of just 25. If I feel a raise will likely fold a queen, I would go with that line. Don't like trying to bluff players off top pair, so I make the call, as does the small blind. Turn is a hit. Checks to me, and I put out a bet of 80, with the queen being what I'm mainly targeting. A smaller flush from the small blind is a possibility that would call a bigger bet, but I feel a standard normal bet is better, not to get queens to fold. A quick fold from the small blind, then a few second delayed call from the original raiser. A queen is for sure what it looks like, and by his quick decision, a bigger bet would have likely gotten a call. The very next hand, I pick up a premium in ace-king suited from the cutoff, a raise from the same villain that likes to see flops, and a call in between. No brainer. I make it 40. Poker gear has been moving all over the place, both to my direct left and right for a little bit, in search of his lucky seat, I guess. He takes the action to the last step, goes all in. Easy call when the action is back on me. Flop gives no help. The second spade on the turn for some hope. Ace high only by the river. Takes it down. Poker gear announces king high and shows king jack of diamonds. When you're rolling, you are really rolling. The very next hand again, 3 right in a row, ace jack and the hijack, raise it up to 15 with 2 limps ahead of me. Then, a shove from a just max bought in stack of 300 from poker gear, and the action is on me. Can I do it? Call 150 big blind shove with ace jack against a crazy player on tilt? Nah, just not quite good enough. I would for sure have called with pocket 10s and higher, plus ace king. Ace queen and pocket 9s, I would have thought long and hard about it, thinking I would have called, but you never know in the moment facing that big of a raise. What is the range I should be calling this big shove with, though? The first way to approach answering this question would be to simply give villain an estimated range and see what hands have the required equity to call. I need at least 46.1% equity to make it profitable. Incredibly hard to put a range on this weird of a bet, but I'm going to try. I don't think he would do this with premium pairs of queens plus, but also not just mediocre hands. Something like decent pocket pairs, ace high broadways, and king queen. That would just not be enough, and ace jack should have folded. Ace jack suited would actually have put it over the edge. I wouldn't have called with that hand, even though it was suited. Ace queen would be a clear call. Same with 9s, as well as 8s being our cutoff pocket pair. If we take out ace king, since you'd want to get value with his premium hands and just not go crazy like that, ace jack offsuit would turn into a call, with 8s again being our cutoff pair. The second approach I did was a more game theory optimal one. Assume the villain has a perfect 150 big blind 3-bet shoving range, somehow, then find an unexploitable range to call with. First, we find the percentage of the time we would call his shove, which would be solving the following equation. The equity percentage would be the same as the 46.1% from earlier, since that would make our actual situation theoretically indifferent, or in other words, his strategy would be unexploitable. Pretty far stretch of an assumption to make, but we're going to roll with it. Calculating for our calling percentage, we would get a solution of 7.3%, meaning we would have to call this huge raise with 7.3% of our raising range from the hijack with 2 opening limpers. An example of my personal strategy for taking this line would be pairs 7s and up and most Broadway holdings. The opponents are somewhat short stacked, so I would limp behind with other hands. That range has 172 combinations, and 7% of it is just 12, or aces and kings. Using this approach to find the range is so much smaller than the first one. Makes sense because poker gear is likely way overshoving in this situation and not playing a perfectly unexploitable strategy where he shoves 300 big blinds to an opening raise.
No shit, Sherlock.
In a vacuum, somehow going back to the exact same situation again, I would call with pocket 8s and higher, plus ace queen and ace king, then ace jack suited if I'm feeling lucky. Now on to one last hand I played. My family and I had other plans, so I had to end the session after 5 hours. In the big blind with king jack suited, facing a cutoff open of 8 and calls from the button and small blind, I made the quick call during the actual session, closing the action with a very playable hand multi-way, but a squeeze should have been at least considered. I do like a call better still, having a borderline raising for value hand. Flop gives me a flush draw and a 1/2 pot lead from the small blind. I like a call to play future streets in position and allow worse draws to continue behind me. Turn gives me more outs in a gut shot, and with another lead of 30, I face an extremely similar situation as before. If I think a queen will full toe raise, I'll go with that line. Not sure on that, so I make the call. Player behind also calls, which is what I was expecting, and allows me to get an even better price on my call. Raising and representing Jack 10, or maybe Queen 9 might have worked. Could go either way, and not sure what line is better. River, not just a flush again. Gin with the ace of hearts, so the absolute nuts. Both players have about a pot size bet left, and after the better checks, not sure what to try and get called by. Whatever I bet, it really just screams flush. So I just go for it all. The button quickly folds, and the small blind goes into the tank. Not sure what he has that takes this line, but he ends up calling. He got the worst possible river for him, ace queen. Perfect river for me. Just about everything went my way this session. I had one last rotation of free hands to play starting from the button. Folded everyone. Cash out for $1,051, $851 up. Much needed wins after things didn't go my way in the Bay. Now on to the most anticipated part of my vlog. Besides poker, what else did I do with my family while I was in Las Vegas? I ate food. I watched the UNLV football game. That is all.